Well, hello, and welcome to the Holmes Cinema Clues, Masks, Mirrors, and Media, a show where film, television, and theater become a lens for understanding neurodiversity. Here, we go beyond the screen to explore the characters who mask, mirror, and struggle to belong, often hiding in plain sight. Join our hosts Dan and Dr. Stephanie Holmes as we invite you to step into the role of cinema detective to examine how autism, ADHD, and other neurodivergent experiences are portrayed in the media. This isn't therapy. It's not diagnosis. Rather, it's thoughtful conversation mixed with cultural analysis for a deeper look inside the stories that shape how we see ourselves as well as one another. So, settle in, sharpen your lens, and get ready to follow the clues with your hosts, Dan and Dr. Stephanie Holmes. Are you ready? Let's begin.
Every story has a subtext. Every character has a code. Where some see a script, we see a pattern. I'm cinema agent Dr. Stephanie Holmes, autism researcher, autism specialist, and neurodivergent ally. And I'm so excited to have a guest where we are going to do a case study. As you know, we cover 4 different things on Home Cinema Clues. We talk about the coded character. We talk about characters that are hidden in plain sight. We talk about the neurodivergent magnet, and we talk about the cinema translator, using film where neurodivergent folks can maybe explain to us neurotypicals, or we neurotypicals using film to explain different phenomenons that we experience with our brain type. So I'm super excited to have with me as my guest. Her name is Elayna, and she has submitted a case file on Donatello. So let me bring on our guest, Elayna, and you'll see the first clip that I have as I welcome her to the stage to start us on our conversation. All right, welcome to the show, Elayna. I'm so glad you reached out and submitted your case notes. So before we kind of start having this discussion, one of the things I really am fascinated with as being an autism researcher, one of the stereotypes is that folks on the spectrum are only interested in STEM, science, technology, and engineering and mathematics. But there are lots of people on the spectrum who are theater kids. They're in media and music and have lots of creativity. In fact, Hans Asperger, although he's not a great guy, he did say to make advances in art and science, a dash of autism is necessary. So I want to talk about you, if you're comfortable talking about your neurotype, and also tell us about what you're doing in the field of media.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Elayna, and I am neurodivergent. I have both ADHD and autism. I just got my autism diagnosis officially in November of last year. Very exciting for me. I am a total theater kid. I have been obsessed with theater my entire life. I've been in plays as often as there have been plays for me to be in. I moved a lot growing up, and theater was always a place that I could plug in and find community, and a place that I could express myself in a way that was a little bit more structured, but also where I had freedom to kind of make those creative choices, which was really exciting for me.
And when we were talking before I put you on stage, you're doing something in radio right now. Can you tell us a little bit about this show that you're hoping to kind of start?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, for the last couple of months, I've been in training to be on the radio. In my town, we have a local community radio station, and I started listening to them actually after the CD player in my car broke. And so I was like, this radio stuff is really cool. Like, I wonder if I could volunteer. And so I reached out to them, and I kind of had a show idea in my head, and they invited me in and let me start volunteering. And the show that I'm hoping to produce is actually kind of a more educational, theatrical type of radio show, where it'll sort of be like a live audiobook situation with classical literature. So reading classic books on the air, inviting guests in, and just kind of talking about historical context and what the author was up to and who they were, and all of those things and how they factor in to the literature themselves, while also providing entertainment for the community.
That sounds cool. That sounds very amazing. All right. You have to let me know when that happens.
Will do.
Okay. So Elayna responded to the call as we've been preparing to launch. I asked people in the community, would you like to submit what I'm calling a case file? And in doing so, you can also read Elayna's write-up on Substack and Patreon. If you go to Home Cinema Clues, she wrote her case file for us of all of her notes and her argument for the case of Donatello. So what a person would do is you would submit the argument to me. First of all, you have to be a Patreon member, and you submit your case notes, you submit your clips, which Elayna has done. So Elayna, you have brought a case before us on Home Cinema Clues of Donatello. And at the very first important piece of evidence that you provided were tweets that kind of give us a little bit of clue that maybe, even though Donatello was not coded autistic, even the creator thinks that, or even the creator is saying that he fits that possibility. So tell us about kind of how you came to your conclusion, and we'll walk through some of the criteria.
Yeah. So Donatello is a character that has been around for decades now, but in different versions. And so the specific version that I am really interested in talking about today is the 2018 Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And yeah, while Donatello isn't explicitly stated to be autistic within the show, one of the creators actually was doing a fan Q&A, and somebody asked him, do you have any ideas if any of the turtles are disabled or neurodivergent? And he chimed in saying that, yeah, actually, if I had to choose, if I had to guess, I would say that Donatello is absolutely somewhere on the spectrum. So that kind of confirmed it for a lot of us fans that were like, yeah, we see ourselves in him. And so it was just a really cool confirmation for us.
Okay, so I'm Gen X, and I think the original Turtles came out in the Gen X generation, but I was not permitted to watch the Turtles. So for those of us who maybe grew up sheltered and do not know who the Turtles are, or for those who are a little bit older, the boomers and older, give us a little bit about how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as we're just calling the Turtles, give us a little bit of the background of the story so we know the context of Donatello and the story he comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. So there have, again, been a lot of different versions, and each one has their own unique take on the story. But at the core of it, across most of the iterations, it's a story of either a person who gets turned into a rat mutant, either through science or some kind of magical happening, or sometimes it's a rat who turns into a human rat mutant. It depends. And he adopts 4 tiny mutant turtles who were mutated at the same time as him, and raises them in the sewers of New York to be ninjas. How does that work? I don't know, but it does, and it's really fascinating for me. So yeah, it's a story that has been told and retold many times, but at the core, it's a story about family and wanting to protect each other and the things we care about, which I think is awesome.
All right. So the 2 things I do remember from the commercials way back in the day is they all love pizza, because that was Absolutely. All that thing. Everybody's obsessed with pizza. Mm-hmm. And then they're named after famous painters, artists.
Yeah, Renaissance artists.
All right. Name them for me, because I'll mess it up.
Absolutely. So the leader is Leonardo, and then Raphael is kind of a hothead fighter type of guy. And then we have Michelangelo, is usually characterized as the youngest, kind of silly, goofy jokester type. And then, of course, the one we were talking about today is Donatello, the kind of brain of the group. All
right. Well, I'd have to say, since I was watching all the clips, he does wear my favorite color. So we're already starting out. Maybe this would probably be my favorite character. Okay, so what we're going to do today on our case file, obviously I cannot run a MIGDAS 2 on Donatello, but I'm trained as an autism assessor, and I use the MIGDAS 2. And the 3 main categories on the MIGDAS 2 talk about sensory use and interest, and that includes routines and body movements and preferred interest. Language and communication, which is the preferred topics and literal use of language, and then social relationships and emotional responses, and that includes the perception of themselves in relation to others, and anger and agitation triggers, and kind of maybe a little bit of lack of awareness of how others are experiencing them. So let's start with this first clip that you have shared about Donnie and the purple jackets.
Yes.
What? Purple satin jackets? The shimmering sheen, the exquisite violet hue, the silkiness of the fabric. It has everything I love, and even things I didn't know I loved yet.
Donnie, if you drool in here, something's gonna short circuit.
All right. Talk to me a little bit about that. Since you know Donnie a little bit better, what other things is he really passionate about? What are her passionate interests?
Yeah, so Donatello, of course, is the brain of the group. He's an engineer, he's a genius, creator, technology, that's all in his realm of expertise. He's very, very much a STEM lover. And he's always creating inventions for his brothers and doing all sorts of technological hacking and coding and inventing and engineering and all of those things. And in this clip with the jacket is actually, so the turtles have a human friend. Her name is April. And in this particular version, April is a high schooler. She's attending high school, kind of around the boys' age. And Donatello like sneaks into her school just to, kind of poke his head around and see what's up. And he winds up discovering that there is a tech group at this school, like a coding tech group at this school. And they all wear these fancy purple jackets. And these fancy purple jackets are of the highest quality satin, and they are a luscious purple color and all of these things. And of course, Donatello is all over that. So, that's kind of what's going on with that clip.
Okay. And another one that you shared with me was hyper focus. So we'll show that clip real quick on hyper focus.
Donnie, have you been playing all night?
Yes, this is the greatest game of all time. Stop talking to me.
Really? This?
Oh, yes. Rank is rising. Oh, I gotta make it to number 1, baby.
Okay. So as a neurodivergent person yourself, does that look like tracking in and hyper focus on the video game?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. There are so many times where I get so caught up doing something and it takes me so long to resurface for air. That's so I actually got a dog recently, and part of the reason I got him is because I needed somebody to be able to break me out of that. And so Wally, my dog, is very good at, barking at me or insisting on cuddles at any time that I'm too focused in what I'm doing and forget to give him dinner or things like that. So that is definitely a reality of autistic life. And it was so cool to see it reflected in the Turtles TV show.
All right, because they're all kind of equally obsessed on the pizza. So we can't really say pizza is necessarily different. They all love it kind of equally, but the video gaming and him kind of, and the purple and the jacket and the silky jacket, he's more locked in on those things than the others.
Absolutely.
Okay, so another sensory a clip that you showed me was he calls it the flavorless juice. So let's take a look at flavorless juice real quick.
What is for brekkie today? Burrito! Tempting, but my culinary needs are more refined. 1 flavorless juice, Sheldon?
All right. So talk to me about anything else you know about what he eats or drinks or that kind of qualifies in this sensory realm.
Yeah, absolutely. So the clip with the flavorless juice has become kind of a joke in the fandom of just like how kind of particular Donnie can be. But there's other examples in the show, like they go to there's a pizza place that they really like to go to, but this one's special. It's like a mystic, magical pizza place. And there's all kinds of ooey gooey things on the menu. And so, Donnie gets kind of particular about that. Or even, again, with pizza, there's an episode all about their favorite pizza restaurants and them slowly getting destroyed by the villain of the week. And so Donatello, there's a part where poor Michelangelo, his pizza place comes crumbling down and he's like so sad. And Donatello's like, yeah, sorry about that. And then his inevitably is destroyed also. And he's like, wow, I only pretended to care when Michelangelo's died, but now it hurts, things like that, where he has this particular pizza restaurant and he wants his flavorless juice. And he's got, kind of this a particular way he wants things, which is very relatable for me.
Okay, I think I saw that clip in a big kind of montage that you sent me by the person's name is Skulltrot, or that's their handle on YouTube. And so he was, so his particular place, he has a particular place he likes to go. And then he's kind of struggled with some emotional reciprocity are they brothers?
Yeah, they're all
Okay,
brothers.
for his brother, and then it personally happened to him that his
Yep.
personal place was impacted. So all right. So I think we're seeing that there's routines, there's preferred topics, there is definitely some sensory interest and preferences, and those kinds of things. What other things would you say you'd notice that as a neurodivergent individual that really seems to fit with how he interacts with people, either with April or his brothers, or I don't know if the rat is a sensei, his other leader.
Sensei dad.
How do you view like how he interacts with people?
Yeah. So actually, Donnie has a lot of little quirks that he does, when he's speaking or when he's talking to someone else. He does have a lot of issues or struggles with that emotional reciprocity, where he'll be, talking to one of his brothers and they're going through a hard time and he's just like, they're there, like, and he shows that he cares in his own way, but it just is different than what you might expect for a neurotypical person. And something that really drew me to this character in particular is that a lot of the ways that Donnie will deliver things, whether it's, kind of flat or sarcastic sounding when he doesn't mean it to be, or times where there's a little thing that he does where he'll like narrate out loud, like an emotional indicator that you would expect to be happening. So like if he's annoyed, he'll say like scoffs loudly, or just similar things of that nature. And a lot of the ways that he interacts with other people and kind of displays his emotions really remind me of my sister, who is also autistic. And so like I was watching this show for the first time before any of us had been diagnosed. And I was like, oh my goodness, like that's my sister. Like I know that guy. Like, and so it was really funny because I was like, wait, okay, so this character is autistic. He acts just like my sister. And so that was like one of the first like, oh, there's something going on here for me personally, which definitely endeared me more to this character.
So that kind of goes to that, because you got your kind of official diagnosis last year. And so there was something though that felt familiar about Donatello and this character. So that I call that the neurodivergent magnet, something that felt like, hey, that feels like me or my family, or I relate to that. And so sometimes it's not important that the characters get coded as neurodivergent. I think sometimes when a character does get coded that way, it's like the producers feel like they can't let the character do this or that because they have to stay into some type of ADHD, autism, neurodivergent stereotype. So sometimes I like it a little bit better when it's not quite as clear. All right. Another thing that you submitted in your case notes was Donatello's eyebrows. And so I was like, okay, I need to hear a little bit more about these eyebrows.
Yeah, absolutely. So being mutant turtles, none of the turtles naturally have eyebrows. So it's really interesting that in this version, Donatello, like from the first episode, has these eyebrows like over top of all the turtles wear these colored masks. And so even if they had eyebrows, you wouldn't see them anyways. But Donatello like has these very contrasting like black eyebrows on his mask. And so kind of like, where did those come from? Like, what are those? And in one of the episodes, I think they do this little, like, they call it the Lair Games. It's basically like a Brother Olympics that they do like annually. And it's like this whole thing, and April gets involved and it's great. And one of the things that gets brought up is that Donatello draws his eyebrows on his mask. And from what I remember, and from when I was going back and like looking back at some things, I don't think it's ever explicitly mentioned why he draws his eyebrows on. But personally, I have a feeling that has to do with his difficulties expressing himself. Having eyebrows this is something, so I teach theater, and it's something that when I'm talking about expressions that I talk about with my kids is that your eyebrows are a really important part of your face for expression. And so if I had to guess, I would say that Donnie draws his eyebrows on because that's an extra thing that he can do to accommodate for himself and for his struggles to express himself. And the addition of eyebrows makes that easier. And also he has a little bit of a flair for the dramatic. And so eyebrows certainly help with that. But
Okay, right. You're making lots of great points that are sometimes, there can be this miscommunication between a neurotypical and neurodivergent individuals because of eyebrows and face and micro expressions. And then
Absolutely.
sometimes in theater, you get the opportunity to kind of exaggerate
Yes.
some of those expressions for the purpose of the audience being able to see your face. And I think that's why a lot of girls, girls and boys, but a lot of neurodivergent girls get drawn in because theater has a lot of things, right? Scripting, blocking. We know what people are going to say. You know where people are going to stand. You learn the script. You get to express a little bit of yourself, but also you're kind of learning some of those facial expressions in theater. So I find a lot of my clients end up in theater and drama on some way. Okay, the last thing, you said that he has some communication difficulties, and so the eyebrows are maybe a way of accommodating himself and others. What other things, as you're kind of wrapping up this case, your case notes were great, by the way. What other things do you feel like to make this case for the viewer? What other things tend to be like, yeah, this is another one of those features that I think really outlines some of the spectrum traits?
Yeah. So something that I find really interesting in the show is maybe it's because he's never explicitly said to be autistic. And so they have a little bit more freedom in what they can portray without offending anybody, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what exactly I would label that as, but they have some more freedom in showing some more, I wouldn't say, I guess negative traits of autism or ways that autism can be impactful in a little bit more of a negative way for autistic people and the people around them. For example, Donatello has that classic autistic rigidity of thinking and difficulty seeing like the perspectives of others. And so there's this one episode where he makes gifts for all of his brothers and he's really excited about it. He's like, I can't wait to give them to my brothers. Like they're going to love them. I put so much thought into them. And the gifts that he made for his brothers are really like, from Donnie's perspective, super helpful. From his brother's perspective, not so much.
The real thing is much more personal and thoughtful, and I really hope you like it, because if you don't, I will just be crushed.
Because the gifts that he made were to help them overcome their flaws, but not in a way that was really helpful.
Practical, very practical,
yeah,
pragmatic.
Very practical. Like for Michelangelo, he makes an inflatable suit because Mikey's always doing these acrobatics and gymnastics and things. And so it's just to keep him safe. But in the process, the inflatable suit is very reactive. And so anytime Mikey moves, it inflates. And that makes it very hard for Mikey to do much of anything. And similar with the gifts for his other brothers. And they don't really like them. And so they don't use them. And then Donnie gets upset. And that is just, he had this idea and he wanted it to be good and he wanted to help his brothers, but he didn't see that from their perspective, he was trying to fix them and trying to erase their flaws or things that made them unique. And so I think that's actually really valuable to see in this show, is that it's not just, oh, look how wonderful autism can be, and which it can be. Like we're people. It's multifaceted. We have good things and we have bad things, just like anybody else. And I think sometimes with autistic media, they can get stuck in kind of showing us to be some kind of like superheroes or things like that, with like, oh, they are so good at math and they can come up with any problem. They can come up with the answer on the spot and things like that, and not showing the flip side of the struggles that we go through. And so I really appreciate that the Ninja Turtle show, while being a Ninja Turtle show, kind of has that realistic approach to an issue that is somewhat of a sensitive topic in our world today.
It feels interesting to say bringing humanity to the turtles. I guess they are anthropomorphized, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think in the case of Donatello, I think you've made a pretty good case. that he meets the criteria in those three main categories. Of course, we don't know, as from the developmental standpoint, we don't know if all of these things were developmentally there when he was 5 to 7 years old. But we do know, at least we could say he fits the broad autism phenotype for sure. And so I want to thank you so much for being on the show, Elayna. I have enjoyed learning a little bit about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so we're going to call this case closed on Donatello. Seems like a easy open and shut case. And we want to invite you viewers to like, subscribe, and share. And we would like for you to thoughtfully and respectfully comment and interact. If you disagree, you can place some of those disagreements respectfully in the comments. Be respectful to both Elayna and myself, please. And if you would love to read her case notes, you can go to the Substack or you can go to Patreon, which is Home Cinema Clues, and see all of the details that Elayna has provided in her case notes. And if you would like to reach out and be on the show, then join our Patreon as a squad member, support the show in that way. And we'd love to hear your ideas, even if we just read your case notes or read some of your thoughts on air. Again, thank you for joining us for Home's Cinema Clues.
Donnie, tap into their security camera.
Oh, sure. Let me just load my Tap into Every Security Camera in New York app. I'm sorry if that sounded like sarcasm. It wasn't. I am in. Ugh, now I'm not going to get to test my tranquilizer dart. Whoa. How did you build that?
With some spare parts in your workshop.
I'm sorry, you went into my workshop?
Yes, and I also reorganized your motherboard's by processing power.
Smart. Cool. What a day.
He told you not to pull it, which of course means you should pull it.
Unless he's doing the double reverse, then you should not pull it.
There it is. Classic Donnie overthink.